Peace. What's happening, good people? It's Gift here for Payusnomind, and today we're reviewing the digital distributor Amuse. Now, Amuse is a company that I've been asked to review a number of times, and I'm finally getting to them. Now, they're a different company, man. Just a bit different, right? Now, the reason why they're so different is because unlike most digital distributors, they don't charge a per release fee. They don't charge an annual fee, nor do they take a percentage of revenue that you make from your sales. So how do they make money, man? Basically, they're a record company, and they use this whole thing as a farming system, a means of identifying talent to upstream to their record company, right? So let's take a look at their whole record company digital distribution system, right? Let's see what it's like, man. Now you see Amuse is like reimagined record label, right? They got the whole Amuse was founded to answer one question: what would a record label look like if it was started today, right? And they talk about they believe in fair, artist-friendly record deals that give control back to artists, how we build artists, strategic planning, playlist pitching, artist branding, digital marketing, radio plugin, artist PR, risk-free license deals, right? They take 50% of what you make. It's a 50-50 split. They give you money for your projects up front, all of that type of stuff, right? Stay in control of your music, all of that, right? And as a digital distributor, they have this fast forward thing where they give you an advance on your streams, right? So if you are generating a significant amount of revenue from your streams, or even, you know, they say between like $2,000 to up to $100,000 they've given artists, right? So if you get in a certain number of streams, you can get an advance from them, and that's good, right? Now, getting into it. Now, the other aspect of Amuse is the digital distribution aspect, right? So you got the label aspect, and then you got the digital distribution aspect. Now, as a digital distributor, they only get you into 9 stores, you know? And I mean, you're leaving a lot of money on the table if you can't get into some of these other stores, you know? So they do content ID, which is good, but they don't do Facebook monetization, which isn't so good, right? And they don't get you into like all of these other stores like Savin and, you know, none of those 10-cent stores and things like that. So if you got an international audience, that's a lot of money left on the table, you know, so it's good for what it's good for. And that's identifying talent and upstreaming talent. So it's not something that you would use if you were like a label, you know, working with your own artists, or if you were an artist that was like basically running like your own company, you know, as your thing, and you wasn't like primarily focused on trying to get a deal. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what this platform is for. Now, another thing that kind of like separates Amuse from other digital distributors is the mobile app, right? They run everything through a mobile app where you upload your music and you keep track of sales stats and everything like that through the mobile app. So let's check that out. Let's look at what the mobile app is like. Okay, now this is where you would upload a new release, right? So you would just click this button, and then you would be able to upload your artwork, and you could grab the artwork from iCloud or Dropbox or wherever, right? And the same thing for the release. You know, you would be able to grab the information from the release, right? Now, here's how the stats break down, right? They tell you which city, or which country rather, you get you got streams from, you know, and you can switch between overall, you know, like for your entire existence on the platform, and your streams from the week, you know, which I don't like too much, because I like to kind of cycle through and be able to see, okay, well, how many streams did I get in August, right? How many streams did I get in this month, right? And usually most platforms that show you streams, especially when it's trending, it's between like they might show you 30 days, 90 days, and for the past 7 days. They're just doing for overall and the week, right? And revenue, right? This release that I put up, because I put up a release through them, right? It was a spoken word piece that I put up through them, right? And I made 17 cents from that. Now, what I don't like about it is they tell you, okay, here's how much I made from this release in August, but it doesn't tell me, how many streams it took to make this much. So I know I got paid a penny, but I don't know how many streams it took to earn that penny. You know what I'm saying? I know in June I made a penny from Amazon, but I don't know how many streams it took to earn that penny, right? So I don't know how much I'm being paid per stream from Amazon. And there's no option to download reports, right? So I can't download it and kind of like get access to that information myself through like my own reports, nor can I download reports from my own record keeping. Everything exists on their mobile app. So, I mean, I could come here one day and this can be deleted, right? And I can't prove that they owe me anything because this is all gone, right? So that I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of not being able to, kind of have control over my sales records. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a fan of that, right? Now let's get out of there. Right. So, I mean, the sticking points for me is the fact that they only get you into non-stores, right? And not being able to download reports and not being able to see how many streams I'm earning for the amount of money that I'm being paid, right? So I can kind of identify how much I'm being paid per stream and stuff like that, right? And like I said, the stores thing is a big thing too, because you're leaving money on the table with that, right? They have a $10 payment threshold, right, that you have to reach in order to receive a payment. They also, don't specify whether they charge transaction fees, right? Because they pay you through PayPal. PayPal takes 2.9% plus 30 cents as a transaction fee, right? Amuse doesn't state whether they cover that transaction fee or whether they pass it on to you. But in their terms of agreement, they do state that you're pretty much responsible for paying any fees from third parties, right? So I'm assuming that you got to pay those transaction fees, and those transaction fees do operate as a default fee. It's 2.9% of your revenue every time you withdraw your funds. So that can amount up to a lot of money, depending on how much you're making, so that's something that you got to factor into the equation as well, right? Now, getting into this whole structure and this farming system thing, right? That model concerns me, right? It might not concern you, but it concerns me because you had STEM, which had a similar model, but STEM was taking 10% of every artist that distributed through them, right? And it was unsustainable. They ultimately had to shift, and they kicked a whole bunch of people off their platform that had to scramble and try to find another distributor after releasing tons of music with Amuse. After releasing tons of music with STEM, and then it's like, okay, well, you can't go to TuneCore because you got to pay a whole bunch of money now to move those releases. CD Baby, same thing, got to pay a whole bunch of money to move those releases. So you kind of like stuck with trying to find another free distributor or something like DistroKid that just charge you $20 for unlimited, right? So the same thing can kind of happen with Amuse, right? Because the structure is set up where it's like, okay, well, they put out or you distribute your music through them for free, and they are looking to identify whether artists are having exceptional performance, and then if they have an exceptional performance, they reach out to them and they offer them a deal. And if those artists sign and their performance increases, then they take 50% of that money and everything runs smooth. But if those artists don't sign, and the only artists that do sign are not making enough money, or the artists that do sign don't make enough money for them to sustain running that platform, then they'll ultimately dead that, right? Because it's unsustainable. Now, you've had a history where you had Lil Nas X that used their platform, and he ultimately didn't decide to sign with them because what they're offering as a label, isn't comparable to what a Universal or Warner Music Group or something like that could offer an artist, right? So if an artist has a choice between them and one of those guys, they're going to go with one of those guys, right? Despite the fact that they're offering a better split, right? Because those guys offer a better service in regards of TV and radio and all of that type of stuff, So, if they can't get those artists to sign those deals, then everything kind of crumbles, right? So that's the thing that concerns me about it. And also, like I said, again, with the stores and that type of thing, man. So, is it a distributor that is good? Yeah, they get your music into the stores that they say they're going to get you into. They show you your revenue that you make. They pay you whatever revenue you're owed and everything like that, man. It's just, for me, and what I need from a distributor, it just falls short, right? So, for artists that are kind of operating at the level that the artists that I deal with, it wouldn't be sufficient, right? We couldn't use this, right? Now, if you are just releasing music and hoping that one strikes gold and you're looking to get signed because you don't have the money to kind of like invest in your career in regards of paying for advertising and marketing and all of that type of stuff, then yeah, it would be something worth doing, right? You put your music up there. If something takes off, right, then they reach out to you and they sign you, and then you got a deal and you got a record company to help you grow, right? But if that's not your bag and you kind of doing this from a professional standpoint, then Amuse probably isn't going to be sufficient. Now, if anybody out there has used Amuse, right, you got an opinion on it, make sure you comment, right? Give anybody a heads up if you had any issues with it or anything like that, man. You guys can always hit me up at real_Payusnomind on Instagram, at Payusnomind on Twitter. You can email me, payusnomind@gmail.com. This is Gift signing off. Payusnomind. Peace, good people. One.